Hi, it's me, Marcy Lamberson, and I am here to teach you something new today. And today we are going to be making gnomes out of glass, and it's easy and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to turn my phone around and get it hooked up, show you what we're going to be making, and wait till you try it. You're going to have a lot of fun. Okay, hang on. I'm going to get us turned around now. Thanks. And we need to slide it into the holder and hook in my headset so that you can hear me while I'm sitting down. There we go. That should work. And first, I think what I want to do is show you what we're going to be making. I put it on, these are little ornaments instead of beads, but you can see the gnomes that we're going to be doing. I'll show you the back side too. I made these into ornaments. They have just a little kind of barrel body, and then a really big hat, and a nose, but no eyes, and a mustache and beard, or just a beard, your choice, and you can decorate the hats however you want to. You can make the bodies a little more intricate than what I do. I keep them pretty simple, but anyhow, it's all a lot of fun and very easy. So I think it's time to get started. We'll put these little guys down here and I'll show you what I'm using. I have an epitray red and aqua, but I have to say normally I really like this fire dragon from Creation is Messy. It's really a beautiful red, and I use it a lot, but I don't have a lot of it right now, so I'm kind of saving it because I make red dragons this time of year, and I'm saving the fire dragon for my dragons. But if you have it, I highly suggest it. You need a 3/32 mandrel, and I use blue Dip and Go Sludge, and you need some nose color. This is just dark ivory, but you could use some of the Creation is Messy ginger or one of those also, and a little bit of white and transparent clear. So those are all the things that I need for this, and I'm going to sit down and light the torch, and away we go. Here we go. Need to grab my glasses also. Kind of a good idea. So as you can probably tell, I am left-handed, and I have the Dip and Go blue sludge, and let me remind you, if you haven't used it before, first of all, I choose to use this because it holds really well, especially in sculpture. And when I heat it up and it turns a gray, and then when I heat it a little bit more, it turns almost like a very, very pale gray, almost white. And then I know that it's been totally heated. And for the body, I probably need to show you something else first. I think most of you already know how to do this, but I like to use encased white stringer. And this is white with a little thin layer of clear transparent over the top of it. So before we make our gnome, let me just show you a quick way of getting some encased stringer. Now you can make a whole bunch at once, but you don't need a whole lot for this particular bead. So what I do is I just heat up some white, and I heat it up a little ways in. See right there, I've got this part that I'm not heating up. Once I warm it up, I just scooch it over, and then I heat it up a little bit more. This does not need to be rocket science. Keep it simple. And I just smush it together, and then I encase it with my clear. And to be honest with you, I do not use my best clears for encasing stringer. It's just going to be a beard, and if it had a little gray in it, it would look cool too. So I am using my old clear that's been a little scratched up, And I'm just doing thin layers of clear all the way around, totally covering it. So let's get this done quickly. Doesn't need to be exactly even amounts. For you perfectionists out there, hold on to your perfection for something else. It just doesn't matter for this. So once this is totally covered, and it almost is, there we go, a little bit on the end, attach, heat up, and I am heating along the full length of it. You can heat it however you want. This does not need to be perfect. Oh, I think you've heard that, haven't you? I'm just seeing how warm it is by pushing and pulling it together. We're almost there. I got to heat this end a little more. Didn't look quite as warm as the rest of it. Okay, see how it moves around like this? It's white, covered in transparent clear. Now heat it up. I see that it's all together. I'm going to wait a sec and wait another sec, and then I'm going to slowly pull. And some of this is not going to be on the camera, I imagine. And if it pulls a little bit uneven, it's okay. It's a beard. And I'm going to disconnect it from this end, and I heat right above where my white is. Still kind of pulls out a little bit. That's okay. We'll use it for something else. And then I tend to take my pliers and just, with the cool pliers, I just kind of wiggle it a little bit. There I have more than enough. That's probably double of what I need for my gnome. Okay, now let's get started. Okay, so I have this aqua, and I am on a 332nd mandrel. I'm going to reheat my bead release. It's going to be warm with a glow, but I'm not going to really focus the heat heavily on it. And I'm going to warm up my aqua, or whatever the correct color is called. Turquoise light, maybe. And I'm going to just make a barrel. So the way I look at this is I want the hat to be larger than the body. I like the focus on the hat. And I decided I wanted the body to be aqua, or turquoise, and the hat to be red. But you can use any colors that you like. I just want to have colors that I really like, and if I choose to make it into an ornament, which I would just wire wrap it with a loop and then hang it with a regular ornament hanger, I want colors that would show up on my tree or my wreath or whatever I was putting it on. So I am going with the length of the body that I want. I want to leave plenty of room for the hat because the hat's really large. I'd rather have almost no body and more hat. So I'm letting that cool for a sec. I want to make it rounder and bigger. I just went back down to the end. Put a wrap on that and we'll go back up again. I tend to work from the end closest to my right hand over here and work up, and this is the top of the mandrel for me, because a lot of times in sculpture I'm looking at something, I want to look at it right side up, and that would make it right side up. And I know some people work in the middle of the mandrel. That doesn't work for me. First of all, my mandrels sometimes are shorter than usual, but sometimes my beads are really long. I need to have things that can go off the ends of mandrels also. We'll make it just a little bit longer and then we'll marver it. You can tell that I don't go for perfection when I lay down my glass. I figure I can heat it up and push and move the glass wherever I want it to go pretty much. And remember, you're the boss of this glass. It's not the boss of you. So you decide what you want. Do you want him to be short and round? Do you want him to be tall and skinny? You can have him any shape you want. See, I'm using my Cote Marver, which I just love this marver. It's so big and wide and comfortable for my hand. Okay, so let's make him a little bit rounder, but just a little bit more. And then we'll start adding the details. So one of the things that I thought about is some of you like to use bead rollers. And I know there's some wonderful ones out there. I saw this one that I have, and I think, boy, that one would work really well also. But I think any bead roller pretty much would work well also if you're into that. I kind of like hand shaping stuff, but bead rollers would work great if you want sort of a evenness to them. So don't forget, we're going to add a hat over the top of this, but if you want to add any extra details, we're going to add some little arms and mittens, but that's pretty much it. So buttons could be a couple of dots down the front, or you could add a twisty or something in the middle of it as a belt, or down below as a hem of something, of his tunic, whatever you want. Oh my goodness. Isn't that funny looking like that? Not very attractive. Let's make it more attractive. We're just going to heat it up, and I always just heat it up a bit. I watch for the glow, but you know, the inside of this bead is just exactly where I want it. It's just the outside that I want to move the glass. So I'm careful not to overheat it. But I am watching the color of the glass, and when I see the shadows disappear, I know that it's plenty warm. So we're just giving it a quick marver, and we're straightening up the bottom a little bit. And the top doesn't have to be straightened up if you don't want to, because you're going to be putting a hat over the edge of it, right? So let's start with the hat. And you can either make your hat go straight up and stay on the marver, or you can make it go up part way, and I'm going to show you how to have it kind of bend off to the side as an option. I bet you all can go ahead and make one straight up to the top. So let me show you a little derivative that can be kind of cute and fun. I'm heating up my red, and I'm going to start it right on top of the turquoise, and I'm attaching it directly to it, and I'm doing a couple of wraps to equal the width. Later on, I'm going to bring the hat down lower, but I want to get a really good connection of the red onto the turquoise first. Now let's just make sure it goes well together. Now don't forget, if you decide you're going to make a turquoise tunic and a ivory hat, that ivory will react to the turquoise. So think of any reactions that are possible with the colors that you choose. Sometimes you want them, sometimes you don't. And I am just adding on a lot of glass as I'm making the hat. Every so often, let's heat up the very bottom, okay? Because we don't want that glass to crack, and it's so easy to forget about it when we're focusing up here. We kind of forget about the bottom. I'm going to bring the hat down a ways here, so when I bring this up, it's not going to have to go up super far, but I do want it to be a really big hat, just because I think they're funny. And this is so nice. Between the beard and a nose, you don't have a lot of details that you have to add unless you want to add them. Go up a little ways farther. And I like to just kind of get my footprint down on approximately where this bead is going. The reason why is, you know, you're in and out of the flame, you're in and out of with the bead release. If you go ahead and lay down your glass, then you know your bead release isn't going to break after you've done all these details. So I tend to like to lay it down on the early side, and then that way I feel just a little more secure in what I'm doing. So right now, see how you've got an angle like that? That works just fine. We're going to add a little bit more around here. But let's add a nose first. We want a big old fat nose. This is dark ivory, and it's been popping. I was making those ornaments yesterday, and some popped onto my lip, and I burnt my lip. It was terrible. Obviously, I survived. So you pick a place where you think you want the nose, and you add a big old nose. I do it right below where the hat is. I like to make it nice and big too. So I put it onto a warm bead but not hot bead. If it starts sinking too far, turn your bead upside down so the heat draws it out and it makes the nose longer that way. If the nose is sticking up too high, let it sink down from what I call 12 o'clock, when it's standing straight up like this. So I like that nose there. If I want, I could make it a little more oval by just gently shaping it with any tool. I think this is fine just the way it is though. And I want it to stand up a little because I'm going to be putting beard all the way around it also. And let's get some of that beard onto it. So this is my white encased stringer, encased with transparent clear. And we're going to keep the red warm and the turquoise warm. And we're just going to go underneath here, under the center, and stripe down. And I tend to like to go side to side, being sure that I cover below the nose fully. And I just start bringing the beard in, and you can make it as thick, as long, whatever you like to do. You can make designs or patterns, and I go side to side filling in. Now I'm going to be bringing the hat down so it doesn't have to be perfect going around the nose when you're getting to the side of it, unless you're not going to bring your hat around. But I think you'll find that it's kind of fun to do that. And maybe you want to make it a little thicker. You can add on more stripes. But you see what the transparent clear does around the white. It gives you some definition between your stripes. So it looks more like hair, or it also works for fur and other things. But the definition is there from the transparent clear. Okay. So we've got plenty of beard here. I think he's doing just fine. Let's warm up the top part, because that's always the part that gets the coolest, or down at the bottom if we're working on the top. So he is warm. And I'm also going to decide whether I want to give him a mustache. But first, let's give him little arms. Very little ones. You're just going to heat up some of the same color. And you're going to draw little L's. This one is going to go like this, down, and there's your little L going across just a tiny bit. Looks almost like a Christmas stocking, doesn't it? We're going to do the same on the other side. We want to start at approximately the same place and end approximately the same place. But don't forget, we can bring his hat down and cover it if you don't have a good connection there. So now he's got little arms, and let's keep his hat warm, keep his tunic warm, and let's give him little mittens on the ends. And if you want, you can always pull stringer in advance, but you're just going to put little dots on the end, little fat dots. Now he's got a mitten. Pretty easy, isn't it? You've done little L's and dots and lines with stringers. I don't know. I think that makes it pretty easy. So let's keep him nice and warm. And if you want, you can show where his mitten thumb is. And I do that just by using a razor blade or my stump shaper, brass line. You can use just about anything as long as it is comfortable for you. So the way I would do that is I would heat the dot from below the flame like this, and then I would just take my razor, whatever sharp thing, and just indent it a little bit, about a third of the way down or a quarter of the way down. And that just kind of indicates there's a thumb there on top. Doesn't need to be perfect. It's just a little indentation that shows that you have it there, but it's definitely not needed. Okay, so we've got the nose, the beard, the arms. So after you do the arms, that's when you can add a mustache if you want a mustache, or you can wait until you've finished the hat. Let's put the hat on, and then it's easier for you to decide. So I'm heating up the red that we used before, and what I'm going to do is a big line, kind of outlining and bringing the hat down lower. And I start all the way over on the side. I don't want to start here because starting and ending things, sometimes they don't always look so good. So I'm starting behind the arm, going over the arm, and with the melted glass and still melting it. See how I'm holding it next to the flame, but not the gnome in the flame? I'm just bringing it down, and I'm heating as I go around in a circle for the brim till I meet up to the other side. And then we'll just melt those two ends together. Okay, so see how he's got more of a hat now? And we'll give it a minute to cool, and we'll decide what we want to do. Do we want to add more and make the hat wider? Do we want to leave it just the way it is? It's your choice. Sometimes I make the hat so it looks kind of lumpy. I think that's fun, and I do that just by adding additional glass on it. Let's make it a little bit wider. I'll show you how to do it. So you know how it looks this way. And I'll show you an alternate where you're adding more glass just above the brim. We're just going to make the hat a little bit wider. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm heating the glass as I'm going around in a circle. And I'm turning my rod just a little bit to keep it nice and hot as I'm melting the glass. And I'm going around again, just above it now. See how we're getting kind of a lumpier, fatter hat? So you can do that if you have lots of red glass, or if you like the look of a little more disheveled gnome. I guess it kind of suits me a little bit more. If he's disheveled, it's more realistic. More like he belongs with me, at least. Okay, so now we have a fatter hat on him, and I'm going to add a little bit more to the side, although I like it just like this. I'm going to show you how to add a little more to the side if you want. So we're almost done. You might as well play for a minute. I'm heating up a good amount of glass, and this is going to be the tip of the glass. I'm going to pick a spot to the side, and because I'm a left-handed person, I'm going to pick to the left side. And see how I heated that here? We're going to do hot glass to hot glass. And I'm going to touch down, make sure that my hot glass on my rod melts in and attaches well. And while it's still attached to the rod, I'm going to go around in a circle and make sure that it's attached well. And then I'm just going to hold it for a second because it's so hot. If I disconnected now, it would just kind of keep pulling more and more. So I've got to cool it a little bit so I have more control of it. And see how it's changed color back to the dark part? Now I can just heat it up on the very end for the tip of his glass, for the tip of his hat. Okay, so while that's cooling, let's heat the turquoise part, or aqua. See how we're doing? Now, if you want, you could add decoration to his hat. You could add little polka dots, or you could even put like a twisty around the brim of it, which I got my twisty out, but I think I'm going to skip that. He's got enough going on. But just the way we did the edge, the bottom edge, I would run the twisty right around the edge of that. But what I want to do is add a little pom-pom to the end. I wanted to show you how to do that. So see how the top is good? I'm checking that to make sure that it's not going to have a sharp edge. If it is, I would take a brass or a metal tool and push some glass up there, or add a little bit of glass up there to make sure that the edge is good. but I'm taking my encased white stringer instead, and I'm balling it up, heating it up, little ball, just barely warm the very tip, and I'm going to touch down, push in a tiny bit, and hold for a sec till it's not quite so transparent. And then I'm going to heat and let it cool. So I'm holding it upside down or to the edge to make it cool instead of holding it straight up and down. If I hold it straight up and down while it's hot, it's just going to sink down and be a long line. If I hold it upside down, it's going to ball up onto the end of it. And that's what I wanted. So there you go. Oh, let's give him a mustache. What the heck? I'll show you how to do that too. So I'm balling up a little bit of the glass, and I'm going right to the side of his nose. I push down as a dot, and then I very gently pull the end out. And I like to go up a little bit. So there's one side of a mustache. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And if you get them uneven, just add a little more. Touch the nose, let it cool a sec, and then pull up and out. So you can give him more mustache if you want. You could give a mustache going down. You could do whatever you want. But here, my friends, is your basic gnome. And I know you guys are going to do such a good job with him. See, the back is simple, but you can add details. You know, you could even use some of your frit onto his tunic, and that would look cute too. There you go. There's your gnome. And don't forget, I want to see them. And I will be teaching some classes online. Contact me, Marcy Lamberson, and I'll hook you up with the information. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.